welcome everyone to the Country Club Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Leo McMahon. Today we have with us golf course photographer Evan Schiller. Welcome, Evan.
Hey, Leo, thank you for having me on. This is great. I'm looking forward to it.
So, Evan, we were just talking. I watched a couple of your videos on YouTube, and I'm extremely jealous. It seems that you found your calling, your passion 30 years ago, and I'm just finding mine, and I'm 66 years old, you know. Uh, so how'd you come about becoming a golf course photographer?
Wow. I wouldn't say that I grew up dreaming about it. I didn't grow up dreaming about being a golf course photographer. I don't know that, well, maybe today guys do, but it was, I was playing tournament golf and traveling around, and I thought, boy, it'd be really great if I had a camera to take pictures of these amazing places. And I was actually I was playing in the California Open a long time ago, and out in the desert in California. I was at the Dinah Shore course at Mission Hills and the mountain course at La Quinta Resort, and there was, I mean, literally nothing out there. It was all desert. And somebody said, you guys should go play there was a new course that opened up down the street called it was a stadium course at PGA West. And we went, okay. It was at that, it was a sister course to Sawgrass. TPC stadium course is Sawgrass. So the morning after the tournament, Tom Patry and I, who we were traveling together there, got up early, went out to PGA West. And there was nothing out there, just this golf course, a few models. And remember, the pro shop was in a trailer. And we came to the ninth hole, and it was this beautiful long par four at the time. Pete Dye design hole. So it's a slight little dog leg around the water. And it had this sand trap running almost the length of the hole. It had the railroad ties along the sand trap. And in the backdrop was this mountain, which was casting a perfect reflection in the lake. In fact, the hole is called Reflection, and didn't have cell phones back there. So it couldn't, just take your cell phone out and take a photo. And it was at that time I wished I had a camera, which I didn't. But I remember the scene so vividly. So after that trip, I decided to go home, get a camera, and start taking it with me on
Nice.
trips. And just, I would take pictures of the guys I was playing with. I would take pictures of the courses, other places went. And I must back up. My mother was a photographer, not professionally, but a pretty good amateur photographer. And my father was a semi-professional filmmaker. So they had bought me this little Instamatic when I was younger, and on trips I would just take pictures, but I had never done anything, professionally, or, it was just for fun.
Right.
Fast forward a few years later, I was actually working at Westchester as an assistant with Tom. And that's when, he said, well, and I had been taking some photos of the course, and he said, why don't you put some of these up in the pro shop? We'll sell them during the Buick. And I chuckled because I thought that was pretty funny. Who the heck's going to buy these things, right? Because I would just take them and hang them on my wall in my room. I mean, the walls, like by the ceiling, were just lined with all these little, like 8x10s I had taken all over the place.
Right.
Anyway, so we put them up in the pro shop during the Buick, and I remember it's like the first or second day, a few of them sold, to my amazement, my surprise. And then we put a few more, and that's how it got started. Then I did a few other clubs, and I don't know, whatever, we are here 30 years later.
So how did that make you feel when people bought your photos?
I was like, wow, okay, well, maybe there's something to this. Because I think the view was, who the heck's ever going to make a living as a photographer? It's like struggling artist, quote unquote, photographer,
Right.
artist. And never did I ever think it could amount to something. Although, there was a guy who was a who I knew through a mutual friend who was a member at Ridgeway Country Club, which is, and he said to me, he goes, and he was in the fashion garment business. And he said, there's a lot of photographers in New York who make a lot of money, who do really well. So don't give up on it so quickly. And I always remember him saying that.
Right. I'm hearing though the key was you just like to take photographs. You carried it around in your golf bag, and that's what got you going originally.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I just like taking photos, and I took it around. I mean, it was so different that now everybody's a photographer because they got a phone, right? um, so yeah, I just like taking pictures.
So do you still enjoy going out there? Do you do it every day?
No, not every day. It's lots of times like I was just out in California. I photographed uh, four golf courses out there who hired me. So I flew out there. I had four golf courses who hired me to shoot. So usually in between trips, I have another one going to Florida on Sunday. I come home and I have to do a lot of editing. So I'm not doing it every day because a lot is just like after I do a shoot, um, there's hundreds of photos that I have to sift through and then edit and then get them back to the client, who they're going to use them for their marketing, their website, social media kind of thing. So I'm actually still editing photos from a shoot I did a month ago in Florida. So I'm just trying to catch up on all my editing
Right.
while
Now,
I'm home before I head out
when you
again.
when you take these photos, is there a time when you say this one, I don't even have to look through the hundreds of photos. This one's a keeper right here.
Yeah. Yeah. There's every once in a while there's one. You know ahead of time because you know it's years of experience. You know what's going to be a really good one, what's not going to be a good one. But every once in a while, there's one that you just go, "Well," like for instance, in February, I was at Stream Song. It was actually my first time I'd ever been there, and there was this low level fog that completely engulfed the entire golf course,
Nice.
with the exception of the 18th hole of the red course. There was a little fog, little low level fog, but you could see, like, you couldn't see the other courses. They were completely, enveloped in the fog.
Right.
And it just so happens I was out on the 18th hole of the red course. Because I thought, well, it's be good. The sun's going to hit here first, it'd be a good place. And when I was there looking at this scene, and I actually launched my drone, and I saw this scene, and it literally looked like the whole, and they have the dunes down the right side. It looked like it was on the water, literally, like the fog, because all you could see was the dunes, and then the fog. And it looks like, some people said, "Is that on the water?" when they saw it. And I knew right
Right.
away that was the cover of my calendar for 2024, which it is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So do you play the golf course before you shoot it?
No, not generally. No, usually I get there. Um, I usually get there early enough. Like for instance, I'm heading down to Florida on Sunday. I leave early Sunday morning. I'll get there in time so I can scout the course. Because the place I'm going to, actually Jupiter Hills, I've never been to. So I usually get there early enough that I can take a look around, get in a car to hop around, just get my bearings. I get a sense of where the holes are, but I also get a sense of where the sun is, like, okay, when I want to shoot one hole. So I generally don't play them before unless I've been there.
Right.
Sometimes while I'm there, I get a chance to play. But usually
So
when I
how did
go
you
on
get?
these, I'm sorry. Usually when I go on these
Go ahead.
shoots, it's a business trip. Like I've been hired by the club to shoot, so I'm there for them.
Right, right, right.
That's my first priority.
Uh, how did you get started in golf anyway?
Wow. Probably I would say because of my father, he played. Um, he was a pretty avid golfer. I don't know. He might have at best been a 9 handicap, maybe 10. And I remember him taking me to the driving range, and he's the one who actually gave me my first lessons. Um, so that's just following along with him. Um, I just started. There was a we went to this. I don't remember this, but I remember he told me this story. I guess we went up to the Catskills or something, and I think we were touchers, and the head pro there was giving a clinic, and all these people are gathered around, and I was probably 4 at the time, and I'm standing there, and he's hitting balls and talking, hitting balls and talking. Every time he hits the ball, this little voice comes out of the crowd, whack, whack, whack. Every time he hits my father, it was me, and my father's like, shh, quiet, whack, whack. So I don't know if that was my first introduction to golf, but it's the first one I remember somebody telling me about.
So it's interesting. The guys I've interviewed, either their fathers introduced them to the game or they took it up caddying. That seems to
Right.
be the two most common answers.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
So were you a good junior player?
I was okay. Um, I would say as a junior player, I was maybe a little bit above average. As an amateur player, I was probably in between average and really good. um, and and then I turned pro and played, and I probably had more success as playing professional golf than I did as an amateur.
Now you went to University of Miami. Did you play for them?
I did, yeah, I did,
Nice.
yeah. In fact, Woody Austin was on my golf team, who's now I think he's still on the senior tour. And I think everybody knows Woody, the crazy stories about him. Yeah, I played 4 years at Miami.
So give us one good college golf story.
One good college golf story. Oh, wow. Oh, so um, Nathaniel Crosby was also on my team,
Oh,
and
okay.
yeah, and he had the year I got there, he had won the U.S. Amateur, um, and so one year, every time we go to a tournament, people would always ask, they would say, "Where's Crosby? Where's Crosby? Where's Crosby?" And there was one tournament. He didn't go to this tournament. I don't remember why, and we all had Miami bags, and they were the old Jones bags, and we all had our names on them, right? So we made up these little tags, right, that said N Crosby on it, right? And we stuck them on our bags over our names.
So everybody thought you were all
Yeah, so
Nathaniel
nobody knew,
Crosby.
like nobody. I know a lot of people didn't know what he looked like. So I mean, he's like,
Right,
oh,
right, right, right.
uh,
Uh, so then you turned pro, and where was your first job as a golf professional?
well, actually, I turned pro. I played tournament golf first. I played mini tours, and my first, I remember, I had gone to, I think it was 1988. I'd gone down to play the Sunshine Tour, the South African tour.
Nice.
Yeah. And I was down there, I think, like, I don't know, 3 months, January, February, March, maybe a little bit longer. And I came back, and I had been playing, I had turned professional. I've been playing tournament golf for, a few years. And um, I was having a tough time a little bit, and I said, like, listen, I got to step back here and decide if this is what I want to do. I said maybe I'll get a job as an assistant somewhere, and I can kind of check out that side of the business, but also play because some good tournaments in the mid area. And so I said, and actually Rick for sure, who was at the time the assistant at Quaker Ridge, was down in South Africa as well, and I remember he left early. He got a call from his golf chairman. He left early from South Africa because Jim McLean, who was the head pro, left to go take the head pro job at Sleepy Hollow. So the golf chairman called Rick and said, "Hey, can you get back here? Do you want the head pro job?" So he left. And so when I went home, I didn't know, I was like, what am I going to do? It's late. It's like, I don't know, March, and the guys are getting ready for the season. And so I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Quaker Ridge and see Rick, and I'm going to go to Wingfoot. I said, if either one of them hires me, I'll take a job. If not, I'm going to just keep playing. Right.
Right.
Keep my thing. I literally walked into the pro shop at Quaker Ridge to see Rick because, I knew him. He was just in South Africa. And so he didn't really have a position for me, but he created one. To his credit, he said, maybe we can find a place for you here. You can, you can go play in tournaments. Maybe we'll just set you up. You can, give some lessons maybe if you want, but just be around to play with the members. And it was just like he made up this job for me. It wasn't even, he made it up.
Right.
And so, I like on the weekends I would play with the members, and I'd help out during the week, and he'd let me go play in all the tournaments I wanted to, and he let me go, do whatever kind of seminar, go to educate myself, and so he was great, and that's how I got started in business. And then I remember I started giving some lessons, and then the next year I started giving more lessons, and so just snowball. And then that's kind of how I got started in the business.
So I remember Rick, I think, wasn't he a bird watcher? And I think he might have been a photographer too, no?
Not that I know of. Maybe on the side. Maybe he was like on the side some. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember playing golf with him in tournaments. He'd pull out his binoculars and
Oh,
look at
really?
birds. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. God, I never knew that. I've known the guy for I don't know how many years now. Like I've known the guy for 30 plus years, 40, 30 years plus years.
I think, I'm pretty sure it happened, but you never know. So you worked it with Rick, and then you moved on to Westchester.
Yeah, I worked with Rick for I want to say 3 years, and then I worked at Westchester for another 3. And it was at Westchester where I started. I mean, I was taking some photos at Quaker Ridge, and then more at Westchester, and then spent I don't know 6 years in the business. That side of the business, anyway.
Did you win any tournaments in the Met section?
I won the Westchester Open in 1985.
Very good.
Yeah. I won a couple of assistance tournaments. I won a Westchester Open. I think I finished like second or third in the Met Open that same year. That was the only one I won. I had some good finishes, but that was the only one I won.
So how many hours a week do you devote to photography?
This time of year, a lot. A lot, because if I'm not out shooting, a lot of it's, like I said, home editing. Like right now I've had a lot of shoots that I've done, and I'm editing a lot of the photos. Plus, I have an online store where I sell prints, and so I get a lot of orders for Christmas. So I
Right.
have to
Okay.
process.
Okay.
My wife helps me as well, but we're processing orders for Christmas, for calendar orders, print orders, and I'm here editing. Like yesterday, I was in my office from I get up in the morning, go for a walk with my wife, eat, and I'm down here. I was down here till 11 o'clock last night.
Wow. Wow.
like editing and fulfilling orders, and I'll probably be here again tonight, and be only because there's, I got to get these orders going because people want them for Christmas. Plus, I'm editing all these photos, and um, yeah, so it's busy. It's a busy time of year, and then I have to leave again on Sunday to go to Florida for another shoot. Um, so yeah, busy time of year. It's good.
So for me, the taking of the photos sounds like a lot of fun. For me, the editing wouldn't be too much fun. Do you
It,
enjoy editing?
yeah, actually, you know what I do, because there's a chance to go back and look, and I, reflect on the shoot. I also learn from it. Like, okay, I see a shot and I, well, okay, I could have done this a little differently,
Okay.
or I, this is, I could have, changed this or done this a little bit better. But also, I just enjoy it. I mean, for me, it's a creative process where,
Okay.
because you're tweaking stuff, and then you send it back to the client, and if they like it, that's satisfying.
You're building a portfolio for them, basically.
Yeah, yeah, that they have to use for their advertising, for marketing, social media, their website. Um, yeah, so I actually enjoy it. It's a lot. It's time consuming. I actually probably spend well, actually, no, sorry, not actually. I do spend more time editing than I do shooting.
Right.
Like, for instance, when I go on a shoot, like in Florida, especially, the window for me to shoot and get really good light is very small. Like, let's say sunrise, I think this time of year there is, I think, around 7 a.m. or something like that. So from 7, and let's say from 7 a.m., 7:15 till probably 8:45, that's my window to shoot, where I get the best. I mean, I could shoot all day, but you don't get the really good light. So my
Right.
window is, an hour and a half, maybe two at the beginning of the day, and an hour and a half, maybe two at the end of the day. But there's probably an hour in there, which is a real sweet spot. Um, so, on what am I spending, 3, 4 hours a day actual shooting? I have set up, I got to set up my drone and get everything set. I got to grab a car to get that set up, and I got to break it down, and I got to go back and forth to the hotel or whatever. But the actual shooting, um, is, maybe 3, 4 hours a day. Then when I go back to the room, I'm charging batteries, I'm downloading photos, I'm going through them just to review them, make sure I didn't, everything looks okay. Um, then back to the course in the afternoon.
Yeah, you just reminded me. You said you enjoy the editing part because you're creating a story basically for the club.
Yeah.
I was listening to Stephen Pressfield the other day, who wrote Bagger Vance,
Right.
and he gives himself 15 rewrites for books that he writes.
Right.
So he's got no pressure on himself. He just wants to get the product out there, and then he'll start tweaking it 15 times before he gets to the finished product.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. I've edited photos, and you look at it, like, I'll close it out and then come back and look at it the next day, and I go, don't like it. Gotta, redo it. But that's, you know, much more time is spent editing than actual shooting.
Right.
Um,
Now, go ahead.
yeah, no, that's it.
Do you compare notes with other golf course photographers or no?
A little bit, not a lot, not a ton, a little bit. Um, some guys, there's some guys I know that I'm friends with, and most of them I don't really talk to too much. But I know them, and had some communication with a handful of them. But no, not really.
Right.
Not because I don't
Uh,
want to, it just hasn't happened. That's all.
right, right. Again, going back to Stephen Pressfield, he doesn't talk to other writers. He doesn't want to know what they think.
I yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I see what they do, because I'm on, social media and on Instagram, and I see them post, so I see
right.
what they're doing or where they are to a certain degree. But no,
So, what do you think makes a signature hole? Is there anything that you look for?
interesting. I always found that an interesting term, because
Yeah,
signature,
exactly. Yeah.
like says, they say so, but I've I've gone to courses and they go, we want you to photograph the signature holes. And I said, the holes that are their signature holes are not necessarily the holes that photograph well. Like,
Right.
because it's a good hole doesn't necessarily mean it photographs well. And I went to a place and I've said, these actually I got these are your signature holes, but I think these will make better photos. And like I think I get it, but also you want your best photo. Like when somebody looks at it, you want it to go, wow, that's where I want to go. So what makes a signature hole? Wow, I mean, I just get, on some level because somebody says so. Um, right? I mean, they say
Right.
this is our signature hole. I think it's probably because when you step on a hole and look at it, and then you go, "Wow, that's pretty amazing," or "Wow, this
Yeah.
is a really great design." So it catches you in two ways. It either catches you visually, or it captures you architecturally, or both. Uh, you know,
Yeah, I'm
I
just thinking now, some courses don't have a signature hole, and some courses might have 4 or 5 signature holes, you know?
yeah, yeah, I Yeah, exactly. I've never really paid that much attention to it. Okay, wow, this is a really great hole, or this is a beautiful hole, or this is a great and beautiful hole. So I remember the first time I went to St. Andrews, um, walking around this place, and I went, "What's the big deal?" Really, it's the flattest course one of the flattest courses on the planet, and I didn't get it. It's like, I don't get it. What's the big deal? And then, as you start to walk around, you see, okay, you get the subtleties, the design of it. But if you like, I don't know if there's a signature hole there, maybe 18 because of the backdrop, but a lot of it doesn't have to do with the golf course, it has to do with the backdrop. Um, once you walk around there, you start to appreciate the design of it. But when you first see it, you go, huh, okay.
Yeah, I think was it Sam Snead? He said he drove by. He didn't even know it was St. Andrews. He
Yeah, it'd be easy to do because a lot of the bunkers you can't even see, unless you're right on top of them.
right.
Like walking down, I think it's 14 where the hell bunker's on. I think it's 15. I remember walking and getting to that and I going, whoa, look at this. This is cool. But unless you walk right up to it, if you're 100 yards down the fairway, you could barely. But when you get there and you go, whoa, look at this thing.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So
And
so you're
anyway.
you're coming across pretty humble, but you photograph some of the greatest courses in the world, and you're contracted to some of the greatest courses in the world.
Yeah, I've been lucky. Yeah,
That's pretty cool. It's pretty
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Um, yeah, I'm lucky. I get to go to some really, really, nice places. Like, Sunday I'm going to Jupiter Hills, which is, it's one of the best courses in Florida. Um, and it's Tom Fazio's baby. So I'm really looking forward to that. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I was just watching Jack Nicklaus on a podcast, and they asked him, where would you want to play your last round of golf? And he said Pebble Beach, and
Yeah.
you're contracted with Pebble Beach. I've never
Yeah.
played there, but apparently it's a pretty amazing place.
Yeah. I'm headed there right after Florida, as a matter of fact. It's, yeah, it's a pretty special, magical place. You talk about signature holes. Well, that's a signature course. You know, Especially I could imagine. I've been there a lot, and I never get tired of it. It's just you drive out there like in the morning, early morning before the sun comes up, and you hear the seagulls and you hear the waves crashing, and there could be a little mist, hanging over the golf course or the water. As you look around, it's one of the truly magical places.
So
I don't
is
know.
every
I don't know how many
is
times I've been there. I've been there, to shoot it who knows, 25 times. But yeah, like I said, it never get old. It's always
Is
exciting.
is every hole a hot a nice looking golf hole? Or?
Yeah, but the first one, two, three, the first until you make the turn on the third hole, it's pretty, they're nice holes. They're not tremendous. It's pretty benign. And then when you hit the fourth hole, the little short little par four, that's the first hole that's really along the water. That's
Right.
when that's when you start to go, whoa. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all along the water.
Nice.
Then 11 goes up the hill inland, and then 12 is a par three, 13, and then they're all, you could see the water, but they're not along the water. And then you go inland a little bit, and then you head back to the water on 17 and 18. But that stretch of 4 through 10 is pretty special. And then obviously 17 and 18 are not too bad either.
So here's a question for you, and hopefully, have you ever had somebody hit a golf ball right at you while you're taking a photograph on purpose? Have you got on the ground in front of somebody hitting a shot?
I don't know if they did it on purpose, but yes. I mean, I've literally, I mean, I so I'm at Quaker Ridge doing a shoot, and I'm out there, and Rick may have even been out there. And I know I was out there. This is before drones. I was on a lift, a cherry picker, right? And I was with the superintendent, and we're on the eighth hole. It's in the afternoon. We got this thing up, and I kind of have it over the, like, not quite in the middle of the hole, but almost taking some shot. And the light's just absolutely beautiful. And this group comes up behind us, and I think it was Rick or somebody says to them, "Hang on a second, we'll move out of the way." And the next thing you know, this guy's hitting his ball, and the ball literally whizzes right by my head. I'm up in the boom, I'm up in the thing 30, 40 feet. And the guy hits his drive and it whizzes by my head. And I look, are you out of your mind?
Could have killed you.
Yeah.
So I was also thinking, because you have the drone and you have a strong golf background, do any golf course architects or superintendents pick your brain about golf courses?
There's not too much to pick, so I don't let them. No, I'm just kidding. um, I don't know if they pick. Yeah, sometimes, but it's both. It's actually mutual. I'm usually um, I've had some really nice conversations with them, especially the superintendents, because I tell you what, I've learned so much from those guys. Like, I know, and it's been very helpful to me because I usually get a chance to hang out with the superintendent at one point or another. I know, like, I was in California and it was really overcast and cloudy one morning, and the superintendent was was with me just to make sure everything went all right. And so we get a chance to chat about golf course, about turf graft maintenance, about the grass, about what he's doing, about the maintenance practices. So I've learned a lot from these guys. So I think it's the other way around. I'm picking their brain more so.
Right, right.
And I learned a lot. I really enjoy hanging out with them because I have learned so much about what they do, and I've grown to really appreciate what they do. But it's also been helpful to me when I talk to, like, because every time I do a shoot, I make it a point, and it's important to talk to the superintendent, because once I'm on the ground, they're going to be the most important person because of just coordinating in the morning. Because they're out there doing their maintenance, and I'm out there shooting, and so we gotta work together, because you can't have their guys, like, if there's dew, we can't have their guys driving all over the place, and then there's tracks in the dew, and that doesn't look good. And so we usually work together to make the golf course, so they can make the golf course look as good as possible. But when I speak to them, having spoken to many other superintendents, I can appreciate their work and what they have to do, what they may do, or what they may not do. So it's been really great. just learning from all of them, to, like I said, appreciate what they do, but also to be able to speak to other superintendents, in an educated way. So I'm not, they don't think I'm some guy just walking, hey, I want to take some pictures, get the hell out of the way.
Right, right, right,
It's like
right.
I get what they're doing and I understand what they might be doing. And so I know what to ask. And so we've had some really nice conversations.
I tell you, my experience, they might be the most unappreciated people in the golf industry. I mean, those guys, they're smart. They got to deal with staff. They got to deal with members. They got to deal with weather.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. You know, I would say most people don't really get what they do. And I mean, I didn't really until I started talking to them and seeing because I'm out there early when they're out there and I see what they're doing. You know, like I've done some shoots where, let's say I get there at 6:30 a.m. Let's say I get there at 6 and the sun rises at 6:30 and by 6:45 the sun's up so I can start shooting. They're there at 4:30 and he goes, yeah, I can have my guys out mowing at 5 o'clock to mow the holes, mow the holes you're going to shoot, rake the bunkers so they look great. So, they're getting there at 4:30. They're out the door working at 5 in the dark to get the golf
Wow.
ready, not just for golf, but for me to shoot it. I mean, many of us show up to the golf course and it looks great. The fairways are mowing, the bunkers are raked, the greens are mowed, the pins, freshly cut. It's not little, elves that come out in the middle of the night and do this stuff.
You know what I'm
So
thinking
yeah,
too? Like you have to keep up with technology. They have to keep up with technology, as far as equipment and
yeah,
chemicals.
yep, absolutely. Yeah,
So they're using drones now to measure the heat on golf courses and to measure the where the water's at on golf courses, what areas need water and what areas
yep,
don't, and
yep,
where diseases are and where diseases aren't. It's
yep,
it's pretty wild.
yeah, yeah. I think I know there's infrared technology involved in that. Um,
Right.
but yeah, there's other stuff. Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, they can actually. One guy was telling me at a service, a guy comes out. I don't know, it's like once a month or something, and yeah, they fly the drone around, and yeah, it basically tells you that stuff. So it's pretty cool.
So here's a pet peeve of mine, Evan, and you tell me, but you're a golf course photographer. But some of these signature holes, the average golfer couldn't play them. They're so hard.
Um, yeah, some of them are.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Um,
like an 1825 handicapper, he's going to be out there all day, or she's going to be out there all day playing this hole because there's no bailout area.
some of them, yeah, and also I think that's starting to change though. On some courses, they're making them much more playable. But I also think that um, somebody's so I watched, excuse me. So I remember Tiger Woods was on the Oprah Winfrey show way back when he was in his prime, and he just come out with some book, the way I play golf or something like that. I forgot what it's called. And so Oprah has this book, and he's on the show, and she says, "Yeah, I read this book. If I by reading this book, am I going to become like you?" And basically saying, "I don't think so." So she asked him, "What is it that makes you great?" Again, because I can read this book, but I'm not going to get what makes you
Right,
great by reading this
right.
book. I'm not going to be like you. So he thought about it for a second, and he said, I think I see things that other people don't see. Now, what does it have to do with an 18 to a 25 handicap? I think the lower the handicap, the more people see, the more they're aware of. So lots of times an 18 or 25 handicap gets up on a hole and doesn't see the hole or see where he should be playing it. They see the pin, but they don't necessarily see, okay, well, naturally, I got to play away from the pin. I got to play this way to avoid the
Right.
water. I play this way. Or maybe, it's like all they see is a pin. Well, you know what? I could aim 25 feet left of the pin. So they may not be seeing golf courses in a way that's advantageous to them that allows them to play. Because I've been on, I've watched, sometimes, and it's very interesting. And just seeing a golf course differently, I think would help lots of times with people. And yeah, there are some holes out there that are really hard.
Right.
But the other thing is there's more than one tee to play from.
Right. 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 Right.
And most of the time guys have a problem with that.
So do you have a 5 year or a 10 year goal?
Uh Not really. No. Mm-mm. Um I You know what? I love doing this. Um and I love the people I work with. I love the work. Um and I think I'm gonna the tough part is the travel. There's certain courses that I would love to photograph. Most of my shoots come about, I shouldn't say most, all of my shoots come about because I'm hired by the golf courses to do so, with the exception of a few. They're like a goal. There are a few whole courses out there I would love to go photograph one day, which I haven't. Um, I guess that could be a goal. But I'm just, the tough part with this is the travel, is just being away. Like I was in
Right.
California, I was just away for 11 days. Before that, I was home for a week, but before that, I was in Florida for almost 3 weeks. So it's just the travel is the tough part.
Yeah, it sounds cool, but we're not doing it. You're the one who's doing it, you know?
Yeah, once you're there and I'm shooting, I'm on the golf course shooting, it's great, but you're also staying in hotels. And so that part's that's the challenging part of it, the travel. So I'm have to weigh how much I want to travel, I think is what it comes down to. I asked actually I Andrew Green, who's a golf course architect, who's done a lot of his work is renovation work, and a lot of it's on Donald Ross courses, like he did Oak Hill and where they played PGA, and he did. He's doing Lake now, which I'm going to go shoot in June. And I had a conversation when I asked him. I said, how do you deal with? Because I said, I'm sure you're getting more requests than you can handle. Right. I said, how do you deal with it? Because that's what's happening. There's a lot of requests coming in to go shoot this golf course or that golf course. And he had a very interesting answer, which I've considered. And he goes, listen, if I'm willing to travel and then get up early in the morning to go do the work, if it's people I really want to work with, if it's the place, if it's a design or a course that's inspiring that I really want to work with, I'll go do it. It's like he had a list of 5 questions. And if I don't answer yes to all of them, I don't do it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, it's like, am I willing to get on a plane, travel cross country, get up and have to get up early to go do this work? Is it people I really want to work with? Is the job inspiring? Is it, it's something that I look like I get up I look forward to getting up in the morning.
Yeah, I
So
guess you get to a certain level where you can say no, you know?
yeah. So I'm just learning that now. Because there's just not enough hours in a day, and then I have all the editing to do, and so it's a balance. That's all.
So what when you do a job, what brings you the most pleasure of doing the job at the end of the day? What motivates you?
I you know, when I'm out there, let's see if I can put it this way. From the minute I get to the golf course to the minute I leave, is my attention is fully on the shoot. It's like I don't really think about anything else.
Right,
It's like just that, and not because, and I don't have to try either. It's like I just don't get distracted.
right.
So just that being out there, being present to the environment, to the golf course, to what I'm doing, just the creative process. Being out early in the morning. I mean, the light's beautiful, the golf courses are beautiful. I mean, you see some, really amazing, beautiful scenes, and there's wildlife out there. Or so I just love that part of it. Um, yeah, because it's always interesting. I find it kind of jolting, like, and it was where was I? I was in Florida, Johns Island last month, and Johns Island West Course is uh, there's no houses around it, nothing, and it's built on these sand dunes. It's this beautiful landscape, golf course, and that's all you see is golf course, and it's quiet, and the bird life is amazing. And then I found that you drive out, and not that it's like a city, but there's streets and there's lots of traffic, and I found it so jolting. Like when you
Right,
drive
right,
out of the gate, it's like cars and noise, and it was like this
right,
to my system.
right,
And it wasn't, and it's still, I mean, it's Florida, but still there was like, a lot of stuff going on compared to
right,
what it was like on the golf course. So it's
right.
like, not every place is like that, but it was this sanctuary in a way.
So what I'm hearing, you enjoy taking the photos at the course, and you enjoy the editing process.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you enjoy the process, which is supposedly that's what people tell you, enjoy the process. It
Yeah,
sounds like you do.
I do. Yeah, I do.
Uh, Trying to think of any other questions I wanted to ask you. Do you have yeah, you know what? If I could, and you're never going to go there, I don't think. But there's a course on it's a course on Long Island. It's called Timber Point. I don't know if
Yeah,
you've ever heard of it. You've heard of it?
I have actually, yes.
So Timber Point was an 18-hole golf course on the Great South Bay.
Right.
It was a private club, and Suffolk County took it over and basically wrecked it. They turned it into 27 holes, but it was 18 holes, most of them on the Great South Bay.
Wow.
And they have one hole. It's called Gibraltar. It's like a 200-yard par three, and you're hitting out into the bay to this big elevated green, and it looks like the Rock of Gibraltar. It's a really cool hole.
Wow.
And then they got a few par fours, that go along the bay, and then they have another par three that's next to a marina, and that you're going over water, and there's all kinds of boats there and everything. It's pretty cool. But
Wow.
I'd like to see some of your photographs there, but whatever.
Yeah, no, that's wow. Is it still called Timber Point?
Yeah, it's still called Timber Point. It's really some great holes. I wish they'd go find a way to get it back to the old 18, to be honest with you.
Wow. Yeah, too bad. Yeah, I know. It's like
It's
somebody,
pretty cool. So, on that note, I guess that's what would you pass on, because you've been in all parts of the business. What would you pass on to a 21-year-old just starting out in the club industry, in the golf industry?
wow. Good question. Well, I haven't been on that side, the the club side for a while. Um, it's well, it's definitely a service business. Um, I know a lot of guys love to play golf, so they get into the golf business, and then lots of times when they get into the golf business, they don't play golf.
Right, right.
As you know. I said, I want to play golf, so I want to get in the golf business. And I've had some people say, yeah, well, go sell insurance because you'll play more golf. Um, Now it could have changed, but there's so many different aspects of the game, um, and avenues to get into the business now that weren't necessarily there, 20 years ago. I mean, God, you can get into the apparel, you can get into teaching, you can get into, retail, you can, if you want to, be a club manager, you could be a head pro. I guess figure out what you love. There's a great
Exactly.
there's a great book. I think it's called a book. There's a book. It's called "Do What You Love and the Money Will Follow." Um, and there's some truth to that. Not always, but there's some truth to that. So, I see, and not just in golf. I see, people going to work just because they got to get a job and they're not necessarily doing what they love. Um, because I remember when I came out of college, there was this, I don't know, pressure, but I was some pressure, okay, well, now what are you going to do with your life, right? You got to get a job. Um, and, I'm just having played golf. I knew a lot of guys in the insurance business. I knew a lot of guys on Wall Street. And so, yeah, if you ever want to come down and check it out, so I did. And it's like, ugh. Now, that wasn't for me. Some people
Right.
maybe love it. And I
I don't know
said,
if it's for them either, but the money's
yeah,
good.
but I'm not going to do that. And I said, I love being around golf. So let me, I'm going to find out, and lots of people would say, they laughed at me. And thank God I had a father who said, listen, you're whatever, how old you are, 21, well, 21, 22. He says, you want to play golf? I said, yeah. He goes, well, give it a try. You've had some success, right? He goes, yeah. He goes, you don't want to look back 10 years from
Right.
now. I wish I had done that. Now,
Right.
I mean, golf may not be everybody's thing, but it's to find out what you really love or what you're passionate about. Go do that because I see a lot. I mean, I know a kid who was a member at Westchester, nice kid, and I saw him after he graduated from and ran into him and goes, "Hey, Timmy, on." He had a job somewhere on Wall Street, right? And we're sitting down, and he's talking. Well, how's it? And he said, well, how's the job going? It was okay. I get 2 weeks off a year. And I was with my other friend, and we stopped in our tracks and we looked at each other after he left. And he goes, so everything he loves about his job is not being in his job, right? So I just find out what you love and do that. I mean, if you love golf, you'll find a way. I get lots of calls about people, I want to become a golf course photographer. How do I do it? And honestly, I said, yeah, I can tell you what I did, but that may not work for you. And things are a lot different now. Is that rather than follow what I do, find your own path. Things are a lot different now. I mean, there was no social media when I started. There wasn't all these social media outlets and ways to get your photography. I mean, I was sending emails and calling people. So yeah, find out what you love and just follow that. If it's in golf.
Yeah, your photos are great online, by the way. Really spectacular photographs that you put out there.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's fun.
Well, on that note, Evan, have a great 2024 and keep up the great work.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Oh, Leo, thank you for having me on. Real treat.
And if you ever get out to Timber Point, send me a photograph.
I will. I will. I will. Where are you located now?
I'm in Thailand.
Wow.
I live in a town called Jom Tien Beach, Thailand.
Wow.
It's a seaside resort town. I'm in Bangkok right now because I have to get some skin cancer removed. But Bangkok is a major city, man. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people here.
Oh, I know. It's huge.
Uh,
Never been there, but
but
I've heard.
the cool thing about Thailand, the golf courses, for the most part, are 10, 15 miles outside of town.
Right.
So, like you were saying, they're very quiet, very peaceful, very natural. and
Right.
it's pretty cool. You get away from the hectic chaos of the town, and you go out to this peaceful sanctuary.
Very cool.
All right, Evan. Thank you again, and we'll be talking to you.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you, Leo. All
Have a good day.
right, you too. Bye.